Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. I hope that you're well. Today we're talking about one of my all-time favorite things and also least favorite things when it comes to fragrances, discontinuation. I love collecting discontinued fragrances. I think it's really cool to get something from the past that's no longer made and being able to wear that, something that at one point was, highly anticipated and had all this hope from the company releasing it, being able to wear that and experience it again. Something about that is cool. Also like just, having discontinued bottles in the collection. But then I also hate with a burning passion when fragrances that I really like are discontinued. And today we're talking about, unfortunately, some fragrances that I love that are apparently going bye-bye. So let's jump into it. Now guys, I will have these linked in the description, as always, in case you want to check them out. And I will also remind you that if you shop at twistedlily.com or maxaroma.com, use the code GENTS10 for 10% off. And if you ever pick up any of my fragrances, which are also linked below, Jet Black Enigma, Terra Nova, and Blue Ridge, use the code GENTS for 20% off, or alternatively, find them in every single Perfumania and fragrance outlet store in the entire United States if you want to check them out in person. So of course, you know by the title of the video what fragrances that we're talking about as far as discontinuations goes, but we are talking Armani Code, Absolu, and Profumo. Now, there's a lot that we can talk about here today. I'm gonna try to keep it as concise as I can while still covering most of the points. Now, this is something that's been talked about for a long time. So for a bunch of you out there, this is not really late breaking news. There have been rumors of discontinuation of both Code Absolu and Code Profumo for a while now. The problem with fragrances and coming out and saying this is discontinued or I think this is discontinued is it can cause kind of a firestorm of sorts, people bickering back and forth, where you get somebody saying it is definitely discontinued and then another person saying it's definitely not, and then they go at each other's throats. And so if you talk about it and you say I think this is discontinued and here's why, it opens up just a can of worms. A lot of times it's not worth really talking about, which is why a lot of times when I talk about something potentially being discontinued, I don't really do too much other than to say, there's some rumblings out there, word on the street is this, and then kind of leave it there. And if you want to look into it more power to you. So let's assume a fragrance, we'll just call it fragrance A, is discontinued. They're no longer producing it. They're not going to be placing any more orders with the flavoring house to get any more of that fragrance in. They're not making the bottles anymore. They're just not doing it. It's discontinued. So that means once the production is shut off there, whatever is out there in the wild, that's what's out there. So obviously you're still gonna have places that have bottles. They're either gonna try to sell it into their own stores. They're gonna offload it to somebody else. It's gonna end up on the gray market. It's gonna end up at Fragrance Net or Fragrance Buy or something like that. And they're going to sell it. And then obviously if they can source more bottles of that fragrance, they're going to, and then they're gonna continue selling it until the stock pretty much runs dry. And at that point is when it gets hard to find the fragrance. That's how you end up with stuff like Midnight in Paris, which was at one point at discounters available readily for under $20 a bottle, fully sealed, now going for hundreds of dollars on eBay because you can no longer find this stuff. So the people that have the bottles, they know that there's not any of this being made anymore, and that if you want it, you got to pay what they want. So that's what ends up happening. With some fragrances, it happens sooner. With other fragrances, it takes longer, and there's no real way to know, which way it's gonna go. Really, the only way you can tell is once it stops showing up anywhere. And when it no longer shows up in stock at any of the discounters, and it's just not there, and you see one or two bottles available on eBay, at that point you realize, oh, yeah, this is gone, huh? So yeah, let's jump into the fragrances, talk about them a little bit, and I'll talk about kind of how I had a sneaking suspicion that these were going away. And also I do want to shout out all you guys out there who sent me emails where you had reached out to Giorgio Armani and you gave me your responses that you received from them. For example, this one right here saying that Giorgio Armani has discontinued Code, Profumo, and Absolu. So again, shout out to all you guys that did hit me up and send me all this info. I'm not going to post up all the emails or anything. And also, if you don't believe me, feel free to shoot Giorgio Armani an email or contact their customer service. Of course, goes without saying, I'm based in the United States, and these emails were sent off to Giorgio Armani USA, and I did verify myself. And yeah, not good news. So that sucks. Yeah, so the fragrances, of course, that you want to be on the lookout for the most, I would say, or at least most of you are going to be on the lookout for, is these guys, Absolu and Profumo. Absolu is actually my favorite Armani code, period. I love this fragrance, and it's a huge bummer that it's being killed off. It's sweet and spicy. It's a fragrance that you can pull off just about anywhere in fall and winter time. A massive compliment puller. It makes me so happy to just wear this stuff. Big confidence booster, great performance, lasts a long time, projects well. Just an amazing scent here. Has like a sparkly opening to it that's just immediately enrapturing. Like it captures your attention as soon as you spray the stuff on. And then code Profumo. Also, a lot of you out there love this scent. I love this scent. A little bit better performance than Absolu, a little more youthful than Absolu. Opening, once again, just smells great. It's got this sparkly kind of root beer opening to it. Wonderful Tonka base in here, extremely easy to wear. Those two are just fantastic releases, frankly, both of those. Armani code Profumo and code Absolu, for a lot of people, just kind of opened code up as a line again. You know, it brought it to prominence again. Now, of course, the original Armani code is a classic, but it's just one of those deals, almost like with Acqua di Gio Profumo, where the flanker comes out, Armani code Profumo in this circumstance, and it's like, oh, code is completely relevant again. You know, it just immediately kind of brought it back up toward the upper echelons of designer scents. And that is not to take anything away from the previous flankers of Armani code, stuff like Armani code Ultimate, which were also great. I don't know, again, how many bottles of these are out there. I would imagine a lot. That would be my just guess because of how big the line is. But also, if you are wanting one of these or a backup bottle, probably now is as good a time as you're ever gonna have to scoop a bottle, essentially. And I myself have already ordered both. Now, of course, this also means that if you were wanting things like code Colonia or Absolute Gold or even A-List, now is also a good time to scoop these as well, for the same reason as those two. If I had to guess, it's possible that as more and more people kind of key in on this, there's a bit of a run on the bottles and they become a little more difficult to find. So this all came to a head, or really started to pick up attention with the release of code Parfum. So people noticed with the write-up that Giorgio Armani did for code Parfum that they were saying that they were going to take the eau de toilette, the eau de parfum, move those into this new bottle style, which we're seeing right now with code eau de toilette. And it made no mention of the other fragrances. It just said that code was moving to this bottle style with those fragrances. Everything else was left out. So people started to read the tea leaves there and they were like, that doesn't sound good for Absolu and Profumo and all the other codes. Because reading between everything again, basically they were saying we're going to revamp and refresh the Armani code line. We're getting rid of the old bottle style. We're getting rid of most of the fragrances we have right now. We're moving to this new style, and we're going to simplify with just the eau de toilette, the eau de parfum, and the parfum. They're wanting to just tighten it up, basically. So I noticed that, along with a lot of other people, as I said, when Parfum was announced and then came out, especially when the new eau de toilette was announced. But another thing that I noticed this a while back, and I've talked about this a little bit on the channel, but the code fragrances, at least these ones here that we're talking about, they started to disappear from retailers. And that's never a good sign. That's actually one of the red flags that I usually look for when I'm trying to determine if a designer release has been discontinued. Because a brand, especially a brand as big as Giorgio Armani, who sells tons and tons of bottles at retail stores is not going to willingly take their product and just remove it from Macy's and remove it from Sephora. Kind of the same deal happened with La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Electrique. It started to disappear off all the retailers, and I was like, wait a sec, that's not normal. And then, you know, got removed from its own website and so on and so on. You know how it goes. In the US, you can't find the stuff. So yeah, all these codes were removed from those retailers. Not good. Then I noticed they were removed from Giorgio Armani's website, which is even worse. And at the time, it was removed from, I think, the computer website, like the PC website. But then the mobile website, you could still find the page for the fragrances, but they were completely sold out, all of them. Absolu, Profumo, you know the drill. And so when you can no longer find the fragrance at any retailer, and it's being removed from the Armani website, again, the US website, all of that is bad. And then another thing that I noticed is it was becoming harder to find these at discounters, which tells me that the number of bottles floating out there is going down because these discounters aren't able to source as many of the bottles from their typical sources. And that has continued on to today, as of when I'm making this video. Profumo sold out on FragranceNet, sold out on Fragrance Buy, and I think they have a 2-ounce bottle available on Joma Shop, but it's not good that it's being sold out everywhere and isn't able to be restocked quickly. Then Absolu, same kind of deal, sold out on Fragrance Buy, sold out on Joma Shop, again, as of when I'm filming, and they don't have the smaller size bottle available on FragranceNet, but they do have the larger size bottle. So yeah, unfortunately, when you take all that information, you look at it, it would lead you to think, oh, it's been discontinued. And then having reached out to Giorgio Armani, and of course, many of you also doing the same thing and sending me on your information. Yeah, they're discontinued. It's unfortunate. It's not good. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention that Giorgio Armani themselves, at least their customer service, is telling people at this point, yes, Absolu is gone, Profumo is gone. And so I would say to you, if you've been wanting them or you want a backup bottle, now is probably the time. Same goes with the other ones I talked about, A-List, Colonia, Absolu Gold. I learned my lesson years ago that when it starts to become known that something is discontinued, that's your time to get it if you've been wanting to get it. There have been fragrances where that has happened years ago, many years ago. And I've thought, you know, it's still available at FragranceNet, FragranceX, all these other places. I don't need to get it right now. I'll wait, I'll get it later. And I waited, and then it was gone. And then if I want a bottle at that point, you know, you got to pony up some serious cash. And I don't feel like doing that again. So like I said, I've already scooped a backup of Profumo and Absolu. The other ones I think I'm good on, but those two, yeah. So there we go. Just wanted to talk to you guys about that. Sound off in the comments, you know, let Armani know that you're not happy. And Armani, if you're watching this, disappointed. How are you gonna do that to Absolu? You're gonna do it dirty like that? Thank you guys. I'm out of here. Stay safe. See you again tomorrow with another video. See you later.